Lastly, there was this exchange. Now, this is interesting for two reasons. One, clearly Trump is extremely agitated, right? I mean, he's extremely agitated.
Oh, yeah.
The Theresa May interview may very well be part of that agitation. Like, he is not controlled in any way. He's exercising no self-control here. And that element, keep in mind as you listen to this clip. The other element you should keep in mind, when Barack Obama had moved Fox News at the beginning of his administration to the back of the room in the press pool, in the White House press pool, literally to the back of the room, because they said, your opinion journalism. The rest of the media, CNN I remember in particular, was incredibly self-righteous and protective of Fox.
Oh, God.
Which, of course, it's like, I can see you doing that for fellow journalists, but
Fox is Fox.
Yeah, there's no integrity. Now, of course, Jake Tapper et al. Are saying, like, why didn't Fox stick up for us? They're saying this on Twitter. And it's just like, but here is the exchange where Donald Trump is, Jim Acosta is asking Donald Trump a question, and Donald Trump will have none of it.
Mr. President, since you attacked CNN, can I ask you a question?
John Roberts, go ahead, John. No. John Roberts, go ahead. CNN's fake news. I don't take questions. I don't take questions from CNN. CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN. John Roberts of Fox. Let's go to a real network. John, let's go.
Well, we're a real network too, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Some people.
You knew just what I was when you let me in.
But it is amazing that the guy from Fox was just like, and can I clap your chalk erasers?
Is it really?
Yeah,
is it anyone surprised?
That's exactly what I would expect.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is. Is it amazing? Broadly speaking, I don't think Fox would have a different attitude, but you always think that there's a 50-50 chance that any given individual is actually not a horrible human being and would respond to that. Certainly when it was the tables were turned during the Obama administration. And of course, the Obama administration never said, this is fake news, and didn't do that publicly in that moment.
That'd be so awesome.
Well,
I don't take Fox News questions. They're fake news.
It's not about their individual morality, though, right? Although they probably are all terrible human beings. Like, there are power structures in place that make it even less likely that they're going to criticize Trump.
Well, like I say, there were the same power structures were theoretically operating under the Obama administration, right? And CNN et al. Now, this one individual might be like, I could never do this because I'll get fired or whatnot.
Well, actually, I have a question about that. Do you think
about Fox.
Maybe he just doesn't want to get a bunch of death threats? I think that's another dynamic at work. If I undermine Trump here in England with my audience, I will be terrorized by these people.
I think with a moment to reflect upon it, you would have that reaction.
Right, but it was right there. Yeah, you're right.
In that moment, it's just like, he can ask. Like, I feel
right.
like
no, it's just total cutting the line.
I mean, look,
totally.
I would be. I certainly understand. Like, I'm afraid of this whole situation, but I can't help but think, just sort of like reflexively, go like, oh, nah, he can ask. I'm good. You could just like say like, I'm okay. But
I like how uncomfortable Theresa May looked, though. I did enjoy that. She was just like, oh, dear God.
Just let it go,
Donald.
Donald, just answer, please, the CNN question. His trip has already been really quite delightful. Maybe there could just be one moment of semi-normalcy. For my whole career, I thought that I wanted this job, and I was plodding towards it, and it's really turned into an entire fucking mess.
I hope we can all agree, like, Fox is not a legitimate news organization, right? Like, it's a propaganda arm of the Republican Party and the powerful interests they represent.
Did you ever read Sam's book, though? There's a chapter called Like It or Not, Fox News is a legitimate news organization.
That was the one that the editors were like, are you sure you want to do this?
We may disagree, but Fox News is legitimate by Sam Seder.
Alex Perrine and Jake Tapper went back and forth a bit on this on Twitter.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, how did that go?
What is it?
Yeah.
Can you...
so I'm putting it up here. Basically,
send me the link.
1 second here. Michael, do you want to read that?
Okay, so do you want me to start Marie Cox or Alex Perrine? Okay, so Jake Tapper goes, old enough to remember when our networks came to the defense of Fox News White House correspondents during the Obama years.
I saw that one.
Blah, blah, blah. And then I'll read it for everybody. Such did not happen here. Lesson for the kids. No one should ever try to do the right thing with the expectation that it will be reciprocated.
Yeah, not for Republicans.
Anna Marie Cox responds, but it underscores that the kids should learn to do the right thing just because it's the right thing. Otherwise, you wind up with a purely transactional view of morality with reminds us of some president somewhere. Then you got to move it because you put it in front of the pillar.
I got it.
Okay.
I mean, and then Perrine goes.
Perrine. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, was it the right thing to lend legitimacy to an irresponsible and racist propaganda organ that to this day relies on the fact that respectable people treat it as normal news orgs, even as it goes increasingly off the rails into white nationalist conspiracy mongering? And then Jake Tapper responds, was it the right thing to stand up for the principle that a member of the White House press pool can't be frozen out by the White House? Yes. Was it the right to ask the White House why it's appropriate for any White House to attack the entirety of a credentialed news organization as illegitimate? Yes. And then Perrine says it was professional courtesy for a colleague that had the real world effect of legitimizing what is actually an illegitimate outlet. Maybe the White House doesn't get to make that call, but real, actual, respected journalists should. Your friends who work there shouldn't work there. And then Tapper says, so a question asked at an off-camera gaggle had the real world effect of legitimizing what is actually an illegitimate outlet? That's insane. Moreover, how does that compare with Obama doing a Super Bowl interview with O'Reilly? Now, here's the interesting thing that Tapper has now sort of flipped to making Perrine justify Obama's acts as opposed to addressing the actual issue.
That's the move all the time. I mean, everything is what did Obama do or what did you say during Obama by everybody. That's the biggest cop-out in the world now. Yeah, that's Piers Morgan from yesterday with, I forget her name at the moment.
Ash Sarkar,
yeah.
I mean, they messed up. The press messed up. I mean, they should not have empowered Fox at that time. And the bottom line is, yes, are there decent journalists there or were there at that time? Maybe. But understand, that's like saying, hey, that coffee shop that's a front for the mafia? They actually sell coffee. So...
Mamma mia, this is so unfair. We make an espresso.
Like, honestly, it's like that the Bada Bing, yes, it's mafia owned, but they really do strip there. I mean, they're real. The strippers are real.
Those girls work very fucking hard to be professionals, and you undermine the whole friggin' thing when you talk about our operations. It's very disrespectful.
I think the hopefully the lesson learned is you have to make an assessment. The journalists, and this is not terribly dissimilar from what I was arguing during that Michael Cernovich thing, was if journalists cannot make these assessments, who can? Right? Like I can understand why Omaha Steaks decides that they don't want to advertise with me anymore because they're nervous and they realize we don't want to get involved in politics. We're a company that sells steaks. I don't have the ability. We don't have the tools here to determine who Mike Cernovich is or whether Sam Seder's a satirist or whatever it is. I mean, that to me is understandable. But when you are a media outlet that has literally millions of dollars that you in resources to find out the truth theoretically, right? Like, you have to make these assessments.
That's sort of your job. It's actually your core brand
proposition
yeah.
Indeed. And so, I mean, that's a massive failure, it seems to me.
Also, there's nothing wrong with Obama going on O'Reilly's show. It's just what he should have done is said, "Kill yourself, devil." It's my message to you. And by the way, all your viewership.
Well, folks like Jake Tapper are still trying to pretend that they are A, neutral, and B, they're just like two sides having a debate. And, you know, it's not like one side is destroying the world. It's we got to be civil above all else. The two sides, the center right, the center left.
I think Perrine nailed it when he said it was professional courtesy, because this really is more about careers, and it's really more about like, I don't want to be out of a job someday, and I need to, it's like I don't know. Somebody described to me the Sirius XM, the business model there was like to where you have like middle management and upper management hire a ton of people so that when they know inevitably they have to make cutbacks, they'll be able to do it, still maintain the same level of efficacy in their jobs, because
we're really cutting back.
It's capitalist efficiency.
Really, no, that's the great classic example of how capitalism operates in such a more efficient way. Not to mention humane.